What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of While Supplies Last, the marketing podcast where we explore all things business and marketing. I'm Matt Nelson, one of your hosts, owner and founder of Peachtree Rose Marketing, where we use modern marketing tactics like video podcasting, search engine optimization, and social media management to help small to mid-sized businesses scale. Last episode, we explored critical marketing strategies essential for business owners and marketers to leverage in 2025, and what's necessary for businesses to retain their audiences on social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, whether or not these platforms remain in existence. If you missed it, be sure and tune in after you've finished this episode. As always, we appreciate your likes, comments, and shares. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our podcast for more marketing-related content. Today, we'll be discussing purpose-driven content through the lens of videography and how video content in small business is perhaps one of the biggest weapons in your marketing arsenal. I'm honored to introduce Mr. Saulo Rodriguez. Saulo is a highly skilled videographer, video editor, and producer here in San Antonio, Texas, and owner of S180 Network. His contributions to the creative community are notable, including work for Creative Morning San Antonio, an event that showcases thought leaders like Amanda McMickle and Elizabeth Johnson. Saulo's involvement in community-driven initiatives such as the Godman Bible Study hosted at VentureX San Antonio Northwest highlights his commitment to fostering connections and uplifting others. His social media content demonstrates his artistic eye and passion for storytelling through visual media. Saulo, welcome to the show. Where can folks connect with you online?
I am the weirdest person in regards to marketing. I am. I gotta say
You're
that.
a creative.
I'm a creative, yes. But I will tell you this. This is the weirdest. I've been doing marketing, video, design, all of that stuff for more than 15 years. But this is going to sound so contradictory. I don't have a website. I don't have a business card. I don't have a Facebook page. I have my own personal. And the reason that I don't, because most of the things that I do, I challenge myself to do it from a point of view of relationship. And let's talk. Because I could send you a package, and to me, this is just me. I know this is not for everybody. It's not for everybody. But for me, I'd rather challenge myself to make it personal, and I'd rather challenge myself to say, I want to work with you as part of your team, not you're hiring me just to do work. Because it challenges both of us to deliver something better. So thank God, because of God, of course, I have a lot of work and a lot of business, but it's all been through that. Now, people can follow me on my Saulo 180. That's where everything is, and whether on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. But it's the weirdest thing, bro. But it works for me. Now, I'm not saying that it's like a lot of ideas. Not everybody should do it like this. Not at all. But it works for me in regards to retaining and getting and retaining business.
You know, two things stick out to me. Number one, Solomon's paradox. So that's when you can give advice, or you can say there's a great way of doing things. I just don't do it that way.
Yeah.
Which is just human nature, right? So from a marketing lens, yes, you should have a website. Yes, you should be doing this. You should be doing that.
I agree.
But for the other part that sticks out to me is in marketing, and no marketing agency likes to admit this, referral marketing is the best form of marketing.
Totally.
And you don't need a website for that.
Totally.
It's the relationship building that you do.
And the other thing that I'm trying to do for this upcoming year, I want to get those things, and I'm going to. Why? Because I want to bless more people. I want to hire more people, because there's a lot of work to do, and a lot of people come to me, and I want to be able to say, okay, because you know this, there's a lot of videographers out there, and they know how to handle the camera, but they don't know how to handle the production aspect. And if I can help them, bless them with that.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to create a situation where, like, you know what, anybody, any type of business, let's go. And I want to bless other people, like people that do SEO, that do website stuff like that. But that's where I'm at the moment, that I'm like, my wife's saying, babe, you can bless a lot of other people. Yeah. And I think those elements are going to help me.
It's nice, and that's an awesome way of giving back to the community too. Because there's so much where, I've fallen into this in terms of trying to build relationships with somebody and giving so much free value up front, and then sometimes you'll get a lot of folks who, because of experiences that they've had, from a negative, past experience, they'll take that value and they'll run with it, and they'll just try and go do their own thing, and they don't want to bring you on board with it. Yeah. And that's okay. And they're probably not going to get as far as they would have had they worked with you on something.
And it's funny because, and God knows, you can ask my wife, I'm not a guy that gets easily offended or emotionally compromised in situations, but something like that, I always go to, if they did that, that's not somebody I want to work with, Because
Yep.
I always say this to everybody, to every client, to everybody. There's got to be a mutual respect that comes from the table. I'm going to value what you bring, and you need to value what I bring. Now, if somebody says, thank you, and bye, I'm going to do it on my own, my mind goes into, okay, do it. I don't want to work with that person because they don't value this.
Absolutely. And I think that's where you've really just helped yourself along the way.
Yeah.
Because and you couldn't have lined up the stars better to be able to cut that out really early on in a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've toured so many people who are now trying to get into the podcast rental space.
Yeah.
And the problem is there's not enough supply and demand tension in the San Antonio market.
I agree.
For smaller businesses who have, a limited budget, right, to value that type of content yet. So that's why we're creating that supply and demand tension. But I'm also trying to build relationships with would-be competitors.
Yeah.
We're in a competitive space. Doesn't mean we necessarily have to compete, but we can work together to raise the tides.
Totally. While we were talking about that, people just leave. I tell people all the time that I love to be challenged. So my personal challenge will always be, it doesn't matter who I work with. Sometimes I say it, sometimes I don't, but I do believe this. I always do more than what I'm getting paid for. Always. I always do it because I want to show you that I'm going to honor you. I'm going to do the best of my abilities and then some. If you choose to leave, instead of saying, that guy did that to me, I'm like, I could have done better. I should do better. Stuff like that. But I try to do it on the front end to show you that I'm going to honor you to the best of my abilities. So that won't happen, instead of putting it on them, because if not, you become sour because people are people.
Under promise and over deliver.
Yes.
Every time.
But it's a fun world.
Yeah, absolutely. So 15 years, in this industry, right? So what made you choose videography, editing, and post and production really, from a higher, now at this point, a really elevated, style of production value? What made you steer there, in that 15 years? Like what got you to that point?
I wanted to study business. Well, I did, UTSA or whatever, but longest vacation ever. But that was my vacation. But it wasn't college. It was vacation. So I wanted to study business administration because my dad has a business in Eagle Pass, and I wanted to continue his work or just get him from working because my dad is a hard worker. He's that old school Mexican that I'm going to work, till I die. And I'm like, no, Dad, I want you to stop working before that, right? So I'm like, I'm going to study business, continue the business. He's going to stop working. Bro, he's still working till today. Anyway, but then what happened was along that line, during that time, a little bit before, my niece Melody Rodriguez was born, my first niece. When I was young, I had two prayers. What's it called? Rapture and being a father. All right? That was my kids and rapture. That was my biggest desire in life, right, when I was a kid. But when my first niece was born, love her, amazing. And so I remember she was born, and 2 months in, she changed completely. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. They changed this fast? And my mind goes, I need to capture this. So I bought a 40D camera, Canon 40D, old school, right? It was just pictures. So I bought a Canon 40D, saved money, bought a 40D camera back in the day, and I started taking pictures and stuff like that, and started editing. Got back then CorelDRAW. Do you remember CorelDRAW? Got CorelDRAW. Started doing stuff like that, and then other people, hey, you took that picture? Can you take pictures of me? Yeah, and bro, it just started building, and then I got a camera that could record video, and then me and my brother started experimenting. And little by little, people started asking, hey, can you do that for me? Hey, can you do that for me? And it just evolved. And now I'm so entrenched in it. That's all I do. And it's hard calling it work because it's so fun for me,
Oh my gosh! So you bring up something that was interesting for me. So we did here at VentureX. We did a lunch and learn for SA Cowork for the community that follows VentureX. And we had a bunch of people who aren't necessarily members of the co-working space, but a bunch of small businesses or even startups come in. And it was 3 of us, and we were providing a lot of value. We had Rick Escamilla from Escamilla Law Office. He was providing a lot of, legal, I don't want to say legal advice. He'll probably ding me for that one. But a lot of information from his wheelhouse and answering some questions. A lot of free value add there. We had Edward Leos talking more from the leadership perspective and mindset. And then I was there from the marketing perspective for Peachtree Rose Marketing. One of the questions, somebody asked was like pricing and how you can price something if you love what you do.
Wow, that is so true.
And that's a big point. And I'd love to hear your take on that.
Bro, it
can be difficult, right?
Bro, you just slapped me because this is wow. I'm going to tell you something that happened like a few months ago. So there's this particular lady that wanted to hire me, and she wanted me. I told her the question. So what do you do? Because I understand a lot of people don't know what we do, the technical aspect or the different levels of what can be done. They say, I just want a podcast. In their mind, they just want an audio and a microphone.
Yep.
They don't know that there's different levels of production. So anyway, so she asked me, and then I told her this, and I showed her different things of what I do, from podcasting, videos, commercials, like design, all of that stuff. And she's got this tone of what she wanted. So she told it to me. So I go into this website. I'm like, how much is this cost? And then when I started seeing the pricing, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it's so weird because in my mind, I'm like, I can do this. I can produce this. But then I saw the price. It was like, what the heck? That's the average price for doing this? I can do it. But I was there with my wife, and she goes, babe, why aren't you valuing yourself? Like, why? Because like there was this weird conundrum in my brain. I'm going to get paid for doing something that's so fun and exciting for me. And I can make this much money doing this. I tell kids all today, I tell them, videography, you can make a lot of money, but don't fall in love with the money because it's gonna wreck you. Fall in love with the art or serving people. But even to me, even though me saying that, there's the extreme that you don't put the correct value price where it's supposed to be. You know, and you're right. I love it, and when sometimes I tell people, and I'm going to say this, and man, I'm going to get slapped for this. I don't care. But there's been times where, not that many, but I'm doing something for somebody, and they're like, I can't. I'm going to exaggerate to prove a point, but they gave me, I can pay you 10% of what I'm asking, and my mind goes to, okay, why? Because I love the adventure of production. I really do, and it's so funny. But yeah, it's hard because it's such a fun thing to do.
I've definitely fallen into that trap. It's so difficult when you love what you do, and you're in love with the art, and you're in love with wanting to see the end result. Yeah. Whether or not it's a product or a service, right? Yeah. It's very difficult to say no to someone who is unfortunately maybe a discount shopper,
totally,
a value shopper.
Well, check this out, and I think that challenges me to provide more value. Let me give you not a backward story, but I went to this event. They were trying to hire several people to do, because I love event photography. I love capturing the moment. If there's an event, I don't just want to capture this and this happened. I want to capture reaction, moment, feeling. So if somebody wasn't there, they can feel what happened at that day. So I love event photography. So I went to this event, and I didn't get hired, right? And it was an event that I liked, and it was exciting. I'm excited to be there. And the only thing they gave me was press pass, right? So I can be everywhere. So I went there. I took my camera because I love my 50. It's a 1.4. It's a good lens. So I went there. I took it. I'm always carrying it. And some friends laugh at me because I'm always carrying my backpack, and I always carry that lens. So I take it everywhere. So we're at the event, and I'm like, oh, cool. So I took out my camera, and I went and I took some pictures. I took some pictures just because I was there. They didn't hire me. They hired the other two guys. And I just went there, and I took some pictures. And I remember, because I can transfer from my camera to my phone and edit a little bit, right? So I'm editing, and I made a folder, put it on the Dropbox, and I sent it to the lady. Hey, ma'am, I know I wasn't hired. It's fine. I just took these pictures. Can you just, you can enjoy them. Because I just gave it to them because I didn't get hired. I didn't expect anything. The next day, the lady sees them, and she says, can I tell you something real quick, Mr. Rodriguez? Yes. We're going to use your pictures for the website. And I'm like, really? He says, yeah. And is it okay if we pay you something for your work? I'm like, ma'am, you're not obligated to pay me. I didn't get hired. I was there. Thank you for the passes, but it was just fun for me. He says, no. We really value your work, and I think we're going to go with you for the next ones. You know what I mean? So I had that moment of it's a good, because we like you and me have that problem of, we love it, we'll do it for free, right? You're not supposed to.
Because you would.
You
fall in love with the art.
That is so true.
Yeah.
But I went there because I love the art. And I always say this, and it's not sangron or going like this, but I tell people, I want to make you, for my clients, I want to make you look good. I'm going to make you look, help me help you, kind of thing. I'm going to win your heart, your mind, your puck. I'm going to win it. I promise you, because you want somebody like me in your team that I love what I do. More than loving the paycheck, because there's got to be a paycheck because it's a business. But you want me on your team because I love what I do. So
that makes a huge difference.
Completely.
You see it in the post-production. You see it in the end result.
Totally.
When someone has a passion for what they do, as opposed to they're doing it for the paycheck.
Yeah.
Because one is a completely elevated work of art.
Yeah.
Versus what you're getting black and white in a contract.
Kind of related and not related. One of the questions for a preacher, the guy's like, bro, you preach amazing at this church. Like, you're amazing. This guy's asking another guy, how do you do it? Because every time you go to preach, everybody's there, so impacted by your words. And the guy said this phrase. He says, why? What's your secret? The guy's like, honestly, bro, he says, I love the people I'm talking to more than my sermon. Because I love the people. And that changes everything.
It does.
It changes everything. If I'm doing it for the people, you're doing it for the paycheck, or you're doing it for the camera, or you love yourself, or you love your... Because creatives, I have this whole spill if you want to talk about it, but I always start with creatives are awesome, difficult, weird people. There's so many elements of them. It's my art, or what they think is art, and they protect it and stuff. And they fall in love with their camera and the way they do it more than the people they're doing it for. So when you're saying, you know what? There's a beauty in serving. Like, I'm here. What are they experiencing as a photographer? What are they experiencing? Let me take that instead of, oh, I took my 50, 1.4. I saw the light and I saw this. No. I want them to feel so satisfied with my picture more than being like, oh, that was an amazing picture. Because a creative wants to hear that. Oh, man, you're an amazing photographer. You're an amazing videographer. I'd rather than say, man, thank you for capturing this moment.
Yeah,
very different.
That's the difference. Because one will resonate with an audience, and one does not.
Yeah.
So, in this studio, a year ago, I think, you did a production.
Oh, yes.
A live production.
Yeah.
So, Súbele con Damaris y Saulo.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I have never, and we've had hundreds of podcasts in here. We've had hundreds of business owners in here for different podcasts, and we have different vibes and different setups that we do, some standardization in there, and different ways that we'll try and brand it and elevate it, make it a little bit different. I have never seen the studio look as beautiful as it. I chimed in live. You pulled everything out.
Yes.
The lighting was beautiful.
Changed it around,
and the mind-blowing piece for me was that it was live.
Yeah.
And the post-production value, or the production value of that, was just immaculately executed. I loved it.
Thank you.
So what advice do you have for somebody who is approaching, a space or trying to, if they're in videography or they're getting started, what advice do you have in terms of trying to capture a space and use that space to elevate that moment behind the mic and the camera?
Yeah. I always remember, you like Garth Brooks?
Sure. My wife's much bigger country fan than I am.
You know what he studied? Marketing. Exactly. That's why he knows how to make these deals with his music. He's made a lot of money because of his deals. Anyway, so in one of the first videos, they came out on PBS back in the day when he was the first one that broadcasted his concert or whatever. There's this thing he does. He says every night before a concert, I go and sit at the very back of the auditorium. I sit in the very back. And he says, and I sit here and I think, how am I from the stage gonna make this person feel special?
Nice.
Boom. So I tell videographers, I tell people that are creating, I always tell them, what do you think you want? And what do you like about it? Because a lot of people are not thinking of the listener, how they're experiencing you. And then either me, am I producing for other producers or am I producing for a particular audience? So I came in here and I'll tell you this. I came in here and I was blown away by your studio because it's impressive. Like I think a lot of people see the beauty of it, but I don't think they're able to see the beauty of the technical approach you took to the studio because they're not producers. They're not podcasters. But if somebody comes in here and seeing the mic arms and the way you arranged everything, even the drinks back there, they won't pay attention to that. But so from the Garth Brooks idea, I'm like, I came in here, I'm like, okay, I want to show people how this looks. You know what I mean? Because camera angles, I'm a sucker for camera angles. I'm like, okay, I want that shot. When I educate a photographer, I'm like, go to a place, always wide, medium, up close. Wide shot, or like movies, it's called establishing the scene, right? Establish the scene. Like I always go back to the movie. Oh my goodness, they're trying to find this kid in army. Oh my goodness, can't remember the movie. Anyway,
Saving Private Ryan.
That one. I love that shot because the first thing they do when they're walking through the desert or whatever that field, they took a wide shot that only lasts 1 second. Boom, to show you they're walking in the middle of this huge barren land. 1 second. Can you imagine all the time they took to set up the cameras, the walking, the practicing, the lights, the microphone? They took, I think, thousands and thousands of dollars to give you one shot. So when you think like that, okay, what, when, and where, what's happening? If you can bring in the person, like somebody's in let's say you and me do a podcast set right in the middle of the, in front of the pyramid, but the camera's real up close to us. You need another camera to show a wide angle that says, hey, they're in front of the pyramids. If they never do, well, I could have taken that shot somewhere else.
Yeah.
So there's this, now, that same approach, you got to take it into, what's the conversation about? How are you presenting that conversation? Do you need close-up microphones? Do you need a lapel microphone? Do you need, what type of light do you want? Is the background so important that you need to capture it? Are you lighting it correctly to show the person? And then the other thing is, where are they watching it? What type of shots? Like right here, I like your shots. Why? Because they're on the phone. Yeah. You're not back in the day broadcast that they could see it. No, I tell people, the closer, if people are going to be watching you on your phone, get as close as you can. Because people don't want to see, like, what's going on, you know? So you got to be very strategic and always be thinking, can people understand where we are and what's happening? And then where are they watching it? And approach it from a very analytical point of view, saying, okay, what do I want them to see? What do I want them to feel? And then use your tools to achieve that.
I love that. Yeah. And the biggest thing, and again, from the marketing lens that sticks out to me is how you started, because with Garth Brooks, target audience.
Exactly.
And not enough businesses start out with understanding their target audience from a marketing lens, number one, because everybody tries to market to themselves.
Yeah.
And they think, oh, people are going to love this.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And they don't think, what about the person in, the 100th row?
Yeah.
How are they going to feel when they see this production?
Not just the one, it's like they say, the ones that I have and the ones that I don't have. How can my production, how can it appeal to those two? Yeah. There's this guy, bro, that I think it was in Salt Lake. He said this phrase that slapped me in a good way, when somebody stretches you. He says, in regards to your product, whether anybody listening, watching, and us, analyze yourself? Where have you made mistakes in thinking that people know who you are and what you sell? And where have you made mistakes thinking that people want it? And a lot of times we don't, because we're so proud. Here, I got a cup of coffee. Man, it's the best coffee. It's amazing. Do people know you sell coffee? And you say, yes. Who? And the ones that don't, why don't they know? One, where have you made mistakes not showing enough people that you sell coffee? One. Then the other thing, how have you proven yourself that they need this coffee? What type of production have you done? Well, I did a video of the cup of coffee. Okay, let's take it a step further. Have you analyzed how you can make them taste that coffee from the lens? And be always thinking of the consumer, the customer. How much information have you given them for them to know what you're doing, what you're selling, and then want it? Not just that you have it.
And I always say, lead with emotion, right, over logic. And so many people lead with logic over emotion in marketing.
Yeah.
And they'll lead with features.
Yeah.
Oh, well, the internet here is the fastest.
Oh, yeah.
This is really fast internet.
Good. And it's true.
What problem is that going to solve, and how is it going to make that person feel? Does it free up their time? Does it give them more time with their kids at home?
Exactly.
Right? Those are features versus benefits, or logic versus emotion every day. So even from a web design perspective, lead with the benefits. Lead with a person seeing their end result as a client for doing business with you, and then get down into the weeds on the features that'll sell the product itself, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And it's funny because I always say we're all kings of our own kingdom. And we love what we are, what we have, and stuff like that. But if you're selling something, you got to always be thinking, how am I selling it? Am I really driving the message? Why would they want you? Where have you made mistakes to think that people want what you're selling? And it's a very revealing question for you to say, okay. Because you go into a company, even churches, we're the best church, and we're the best clinic, and we're the best this, and we're the everybody. And it's good to be proud of who you are and what you have. It's good. But in regards to marketing and selling, I'm like, who knows about you? Because inside the company, it's loud. Hey, guys, we're the best. Yeah. Who knows about it? I don't know, but we are the best. So you got to be very self-aware of your messaging.
Yeah. And I think the messaging that resonates best with people isn't the messaging from the person trying to sell.
Yeah.
It's the messaging from people who have been sold to,
Yeah.
who are raving fans of the brand. And they're
Yeah.
like, this is the person you need to go to
Yeah.
for this.
You ever seen, because of what you just said, the hotel Amani hotels, Amangani or something like that. Well, they don't promote themselves that much, but they have videos out there. But I show this to people that love marketing and stuff like that, because normally you do a marketing video and the text and the music and you put music behind it just for it to be exciting. But the Amani Hotel, there's no background music. It's a hotel, and they just sell you the experience, what you're gonna feel while you're there. They show the scene where they're putting logs in the chimney, and then you're walking outside on the snow, and when they're putting the covers on the bed, and you're sitting in the little place where they have that chimney, and they bring you food, and then the horses, they're like, you're just hearing the elements of the place, and you feel like, I want to go there.
Yeah.
And the first time I saw it, because my wife's like, look at this, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh man, I want to be there. I didn't think of the name. I didn't know the company. But I wanted to be there. I didn't know who was. I'm like, when you see something, I want that. What is it? I don't care. I want that. You're willing to spend, because what you said, that feeling that they sold me, I want it. And then your mind goes, I don't care the price, because I want that. And that's an amazing approach to marketing.
Yeah. Selling on the emotion first before getting into the branding and all this other stuff. And if people love that emotion enough, or are afraid enough, depending on, fear and greed are two very powerful emotions. If they love it enough, or they want it enough, they'll find it out. They'll find out more about your brand, how they can transact with you.
Yeah, because and I get it. We love our companies. Everybody, you love your company. You have a company, you love it to death, and it's your baby, and it's your art, and I get it. But you got to be very self-aware that you're not self-aware of how you're doing your marketing. If you're really being clear on what you're selling and that people want it, and I'm like, what is your messaging? What is, because somebody the other day hired me just to do some memes for their company. And she said, can you create some memes? I'm like, we just want to post some stuff online. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I texted the lady. I'm like, what do you want it to say? No, we just want some stuff with our logo. And I'm like, okay. And again, there's a level of branding that is just logo and name, colors, if you have a brand guide. But my question was, what do you want it to say? Where do you want to go? What type of customers do you want?
Yeah.
So thinking like that, and you love your company, fine. But do you really have a clear goal of your viewer or your customer, what you want them to think, like feel and think? Starting
with the end in mind.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So when you approach, let's say someone who has seen your work, they love your work, or maybe they haven't seen your work, but someone else told them, Saulo's the guy to talk to because you want this elevated thing. Go talk to him. And they come to you and they're like, hey, I want this. And they tell you, I want memes, or I want some reels. I want brand awareness. I want a video. Where do you go with that conversation to be able to get to understanding the end in mind?
Yeah.
Or what problem are they trying to solve? How do you approach that?
Well, I got tired, because I've gone through this process, as you grow. I've got tired of just doing graphics, videos, and all of this stuff. I want it to be very purposeful and intentional. So when I talk to somebody, I always think, okay, what do you want to get out of this? What do you want to get? Because there is a part of just putting the brand out there and the color, right? There's some strategies. Like, okay, just get it out there. Put some ad spend, or tell your company to share it. You just want that says Saulo's Coffee, brown color, a cup. Fine. That's one thing. But the other one, what do you want from it? What do you want to get out of this? Do you want clients? Do you want to send an internal memo? Do you want to bring in more clients? What type of clients do you want? And also, I don't want them to feel that my value that I bring is just a video, or I just create a graphic or a video. I'm like, because again, I always say that you hire to your weakness. Their weakness is creating videos and graphics and stuff like that. Fine, I'll do that. But let's combine our efforts and say, okay, what do you want to get with this video? Like I always ask this: you're not a customer of you're not the owner or the participant of your company. When you would see a video or a graphic of yours, what do you think you will want to feel or think? And let's approach it that way. You know, because if you're selling something, I'm like, okay, you saw this. What would captivate you? What would captivate you of you for me to produce it? Instead of me saying, well, I can produce a video, give me the information. Because I'm not that type. I know there's people out there. I'll do the video, give me the information, I'll get it done. Let's sit down. That's why I tell you, I'm a relationship. Let's sit down. Where do you want to go with this? What's the purpose of your video? What do you want to get from this production?
Otherwise, I mean, and aside from, the purpose-driven content, you get down to making sure that somebody gets what they really want as opposed to what they think they want.
Exactly. And that conversation is, so I always tell people this phrase, I need to hear you breathe before I breathe with you. I want to hear what's inside of you, your feelings, your emotion, because in regards to art, everybody's got their own interpretation of art, right? You see a picture. What does this picture mean to you or feel? Same thing with somebody that doesn't know videos. Let's say I'm going to use an example. There's an older lady. She's 70 years old. She's got her company, and she says, I heard that I need a video for this, right? Right, 2 generations. Maybe I'm in that generation too, but whatever. Anyway, so I just heard I want a video, and I mean, that's what they told me. Okay, so I created, and then she's going to go at the end, well, that's not what I was thinking. That's not what I wanted.
Yeah.
She knows she wants a video, but ma'am, what's the video for? What do you want it to do? Where do you want to go? How do you want it to feel? And if we don't have that conversation of the end result, there's always going to be that, because art is subjective. Like, oh, you see something, it's not the same thing. So I think right now when it's oversaturation of video, that's what's happening. It's going to get even worse. I tell videographers all the time, be different. Ask questions. See what the customer is wanting to show and portray. Because if not, you're an artist and they have an idea of what artistry is. And if you don't have that conversation, it's not going to fit.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So it's funny you mentioned, obviously, video is kind of the theme of this podcast. I just did a poll on Instagram, and I'm new at this, so I'm a marketer, but from different mediums and different technical expertise. Yeah. So we have someone else who's a lot better at social media stuff on the team. I just did a poll on Instagram. But one of the amazing things is, in 2025, what are you looking to use as a marketing medium? And I, put stuff out there. Video was the 80-something% of people voted for video. Yeah. They want to start investing more in video. And I'm like, wow, that is crazy. Because I feel like there's so much supply of video content out there. But at the end of the day, I'm sold on it too. And I believe in it because that's the one where you're not just going to resonate with an audience. Yeah. It builds a parasocial relationship with somebody, especially if you've got somebody from the business representing on video. Yeah.
And again, to the question, what mistake are you making that you think people know who you are and what you do? And a video is perfect at that. A video, I love serving and I love helping people as much as I can, right? And so there's this particular print shop here in San Antonio. I don't know if anybody knows about it, but Checo's Print Shop on Bandera. Those guys, I'm like, those guys, my mind goes into a marketing. These guys should be bigger than they are right now. More people should know about them. Why? Because their product is amazing. Their customer service, bro, I cannot brag about them as how amazing their customer service is. And then I feel so proud. I'm like, these guys need a video because I want to brag about them to other people. I want to brag about them that if you need printing needs, you need to go to them because one, a great product, but their customer service, impeccable, amazing. So my mind, even as a marketer, I'm like, I need to get a video for them to show them somewhere else who they are and what they do and how they do it.
Yeah.
And sometimes a graphic is very limiting. You can't do that with a graphic. You can't do that with a meme or stuff like that. And a video is very powerful. That's why I think that conversation needs to continue on how to do better videos. More so than from a technical point of view, but from the ethos you're creating, the feeling you're creating. Because I see this all the time. There's a new trend in creating videos, and everybody gravitates towards that, and it's good. Gravitate towards those memes, graphics, designs, visual elements. Go, but don't miss the purpose of the video, because you can get so sidetracked of doing a video with everybody's doing it. Fine, that's gonna die out. It's a fad. But your purpose in regards to your company is not going to die out. So do all of that, but don't miss the purpose of the video, the purpose of your company. So, but yes, a video is a perfect way to show so many elements of who you are, what you do. A video is perfect for that.
Yeah, agreed. We just did, so it's funny, we're talking about video content and social media. Our last episode, one of our last episodes was related to TikTok, as a video promotion platform, more or less, in social media. And whether or not, TikTok's going to go away, if it's going to be banned, if it's going to be sold, or if, Supreme Court appeals, and, they stick around. And I thought it was interesting, supply and demand, where people are going to gravitate towards after that, and how that's going to affect things. When we started this business, I knew that I wanted to work with small businesses and startups, which is very different, from marketing, because the perception is they don't have money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to work with somebody who doesn't have money. But if you, from a marketing lens, if you're able to help people justify the cost of their marketing and you're elevating them along the way, they're your customer for life.
Yeah, I agree.
But I knew I wanted to do that. And one of my initial thoughts as a non-social media person was, we can use TikTok for our stuff, but as a experimentation, spear to core for the team kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how powerful, TikTok is as a platform, because
even more.
The thing that they do that's different, or the thing that they did that was different, was, instead of focusing on the network, the social part of it, they focused on the individual in front of the screen and the type of content that they wanted. So a lot of purpose in that. And that's what resonated and fed the algorithm. So I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, the way they, like everybody said, man, this came up on my thread. You're the product, bro. You know what I mean? Hey, this came up on my thread. I didn't come up on your thread. You're a product. They know what you're, they know what you're searching for. They know what you're doing. So that's what they're gonna feed you to keep you there. And
You've got a profile, yeah,
you got a profile. It's like it's such a very revealing. When people start going that rabbit trail of that idea that you're the product, you're like, oh my goodness. But TikTok has done it so well. It keeps people engaging. So if there was no TikTok, where would you go to, you think?
I think a lot of people who may already have, accounts on different platforms and stuff, or may not. I think a lot of people are naturally gravitating towards something like Instagram, on Meta, because it's probably in the United States, at least, it's probably the closest thing from just a user experience standpoint. If you're putting content on there, or if you're consuming content, very similar, as opposed to something like YouTube Shorts.
Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of people need to hire to their weaknesses, because everybody says, well, I post, I use my Instagram, but then you want to promote something. It's a very different game of just posting a picture of your kid or your dog. Then you start going into these different elements, and I'm like, okay, people will always ask you. They ask me, what's the difference? Should I do LinkedIn? Should I do Instagram or TikTok? And I tell people the answer is not, most of the time, it's not this or this. It's this and this. And then how?
Yeah.
Because it shifts, because Meta and in TikTok, they're changing the algorithm, they're changing their style, and every time they change around how they use your ads, or they push them. So sometimes you got to say, okay, it's this. I have a very serious company I'm working with, very serious, and he goes, "You think we should be on TikTok?" And I go, "I don't think you should, but we can, because it's there. And if you get something in there, let's do it." Or we look at the messaging of other people doing what we do, how they're doing it there, and say, okay, is it working for them or not? Like one of the tactics, always analyze your competitors. What are they doing good? What are they doing bad? Either make it better or try something similar, right? But I think that's why I asked you, what would you use? Because I'm like, okay, if I'm using videos in TikTok this way, how do I do it over here? Do I have to change the style of the video on Instagram? From a technical point, you've got to change dimensions and feel and stuff like that. But anyway, it's really understanding, okay, what's the platform you're going to use and how are you going to attack it?
And, talking about purpose-driven content and video, it's one thing, and we love podcasting as a medium because you can do long-form content and you can really build relationships with people who you've never met.
Yeah.
But The real compelling piece of it is you can multi-purpose it for those compelling shorts, the short form video. But time on content is by far the biggest metric for all platforms on social media when they're feeding into an algorithm. And people don't necessarily take into account on something like long form podcasting on YouTube.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily take that into account. So you do have to have compelling content along the way to keep people on platform. I was having a discussion with a client who uses our podcast studio. They do their own post-production editing. They do their own marketing, and they get a lot of views. They would do 10x the amount of views if they were able to have more compelling content throughout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt, maybe you can help me with this one because podcasting, the podcasting ethos idea, it's so powerful. Like you said, you can get a lot of content from a 1 hour sitting, right? Now, when I talk to people and I tell them that I want to record them in a podcast style form, not necessarily that they're doing a podcast every week or every month. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm trying to explain to them, let's do a podcast style recording form. I want to get a better word for that because like today we're doing a podcasting, but for me, it's just, I'm being a guest. But if I bring somebody in, it's just going to be one-time recording, but I can get content from it for 2 or 3 months. You know, how would I explain that to people that it's not necessarily I'm doing a podcast because it's not a podcast.
Yeah. I use podcasts generally, right? And we have a podcast studio. And as a way of, from a marketing lens, you know, SEO, keywords, it makes sense to differentiate and put a label on stuff sometimes. But for me, a video podcast doesn't necessarily have to be a podcast, right?
It's weird too.
It doesn't have to be, you know, that formal sounding.
Yes.
It's just a conversation. It's just an interview potentially on or off site. Right?
Because I tell people all the time in regards to content, if you're a customer, you have a company, I approach this from, I'm not a content creator. Because people, are you a content creator? I tell them this. Let's reframe the conversation. I'm not a content creator. I'm a content capturer. Because the content is already being made. You are the content. If I follow you around, you're creating content all day. You have a meeting, you talk to somebody, you give a class, you give an encouragement meeting in your company, you're recasting vision. That content is already being made. I'm just here to capture it and package it and give it a little bit more package it for better delivery, right? So I tell people all the time, this recording is just capturing the content that's already in you. So I'm not creating content per se in the sense of the ideas. I am packaging it different so I can put the burden on, okay, let's just sit you down and let me see what content's in here and I'll just capture it. But I think, I said it, you'll see a video on my Instagram I put in the beginning of 2024. I put this in the beginning of January 2024. I put this, I did a graphic and I put 2024 is going to be the year of the podcast. Let's produce, right? Bro, I was right, but 2025 is going to be even more intense.
Yeah, it's great. There's so much more from a marketing medium. There's so much more room for podcasting to run.
Yeah.
And I guess, you know, from a technical standpoint, you could label it based on the equipment you're using.
That's true.
Maybe.
That's
maybe.
true.
Yeah, if you got a boom arm, you can call it a podcast.
That's so
right?
true. Yeah.
Like, maybe that's the
people see it like
differentiator.
that. I don't know. Yeah, you're right. Because that's the way people see it. Oh, he's in a room. There's lights. There's a camera, and there's a boom arm. Oh, it's a podcast.
Yeah. But it's the same thing. You know?
Yeah. So you know what I'm trying. This is my. Guys, I really love production and I love challenges. So I got my mobile podcast. It's the weirdest thing now to say it, but I got a mobile podcasting equipment package or whatever. So I am challenging myself. Anybody that wants to work with me, I'm like, let's do a different type of podcast. Let's go to the Pearl and set up on one of the tables while we're drinking coffee. Yes, and let's do it there. Let's go to the cemetery and talk about death and life and sit there. But I'm going to take my whole equipment. It's going to be multi-camera. It's going to be lights. It's going to be very well produced.
With a natural backdrop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So creating the elements. So when people see it, they're like, oh, look. And again, the podcast in the studio has its own value, has its own ethos. It's got its own thing. But I am at a point right now and I'm like, put me to work. Put me to work for you. Let's do a podcast at your business instead of doing, hey, you're selling cookies. You got a cookie store. Let's go to your cookie store. Let's sit up there and while we're eating cookies, let's talk about your cookies. Do a 1 hour recording and then we'll chop it up and you got content for a month, 2 months, depending on the conversation. Yeah. But it's weird what we call podcasts now. But that's why I was asking you, help me try to package this
That's
better.
the only thing I could think of. Is like you could get down to the technical, is it in a room maybe? Or
Yeah.
does it use boom arms? But beyond that, like video content in
And
general
then
and
the problem-
capturing a conversation.
And then the problem is this. The weight, because I always talk about words have weight, right? So if I tell somebody, a client, that, 17-year-old, right? I think me recording her on a podcast about what she wants would be better than a one-time video, right? Because I would sit that old lady down and I'm like, ma'am, where did you start your company? Why should people purchase what you do? And I think I could grab a lot of stuff. That's why I love the content.
You can, yeah.
But she's a 17-year-old lady. And if I tell her, I want to do a podcast with you, and she goes, no, not me. Her mind goes into this, and she's going to get afraid, and it creates, and you know this. I just recorded one of my clients the other day. This guy, bro, I don't know I hope he doesn't watch this, but I'm going to use him as an example. Names will not be mentioned to protect the guilty. Beep. But this, beep, yeah. But this guy, bro, amazing public speaker. Amazing. Like, he is a beast. You see him on stage. You see him talk in front of his team. I've seen him in different parties. I've seen him in meetings. That guy's beast, bro. He comes in and he's got presence, good-looking guy and stuff like that. I started recording. I put a microphone in front of him and like, bro, he had a hard time. And he was struggling.
It's crazy.
It's intimidating, a camera, a microphone. So again, that's what I love producing too. I love guiding people in this area that I think they know what it is. Sometimes I think they have no idea, but it's a crazy world. So if I told that lady, I want to put you in a podcast, the word is a little bit heavy. It's a little bit heavy. So there's this education we have to do now to people say, okay, this is the reason we're doing this. It's going to be a little bit difficult. It's going to be different. And, but yeah, I really love all of these elements, but I think a lot of people don't understand that there's different levels, depths of how to do it better.
Yeah. That's a good point. And that resonates with me as a marketer who's focused on, SEO, keywords, what people are searching for, getting people that. But with creating new lead generation, in podcasting as a service, right? That's a huge part of it. So if you approach it from like, it's just a conversational interview style thing, or just capturing a conversation.
So you're saying that if we record like this, for example, it's a good tool for SEO and stuff like that. Just having really. Explain to an ignorant person like me.
Absolutely.
How you said absolutely that I'm ignorant, and absolutely you're good answer.
That's a good question to clear up some ambiguity there. Yeah. So from an SEO standpoint, video podcasting or video in general, if you're talking about content that's relevant from an SEO perspective, search engine optimization, or what's going to become more relevant, answer engine optimization. Some people don't even realize that Google, as the big search engine, it's becoming less and less relevant over time because things like ChatGPT are the go-to. Answer engine optimization, very similar. The writing style is different, but the content that's discussed on video becomes text-based content as well. Think of it that way. Yeah.
My goodness, man. That's going to be one of my selling points now. But it's that's interesting to know.
It's huge.
Yeah, because I think this is beautiful. That's why I tell people, as cheesy as this sounds, I love people. I have this spill that I do. I tell people I don't believe in equality. It doesn't exist. It's a place we want to get to, but it's never going to exist. I rather believe that we're so beautifully different. We're so different, and it's because nobody's equal. I'm not equal to my wife. I'm not equal to my brother. I'm not equal to my mom. I'm not equal to another Mexican. We're not. We're so different, right? So you telling me this, I want to learn about that because I produce the light, the color, the camera, the angle, the aperture. And I love what I do, but I need somebody like you to say, okay, that element of, because I'm just producing a podcast, it's going to be fun and looking and the content, but the nitty gritty of the text that can also be used. It's like when they cut a cow, right? They grab a piece, but they use different pieces for different things. I think we all have to learn that there's different elements that can be used for different plates. So this is pretty cool.
Let's talk some more marketing then, because this may blow your mind. You probably already know this, but from a supply and demand perspective, if you think about all the content that exists in the world, the vast majority of it is written or expressed in English, in the English language. And I'm a translator by trade. Mandarin, Spanish back in the day, right? But so I approach it from that mindset. Like, not everybody in the world's an English speaker, number one, or their preference isn't to consume content in English. They would much rather consume content in their own language, right?
Yeah.
So from a supply and demand perspective, you have everybody doing it in English, right? But they could be doing it in a different language if they have that capability. And if that's the case, they could be resonating with much bigger audience that is otherwise captivated by English only. What's your thoughts on that? Because I know you've done content in Espanol and you've done a lot of high-end content that resonates with an audience that's been untapped.
Wow, bro, you just made me think because I went to Greece and it was like, I don't know, Greek. I don't know. So I went to Greece and I'm there talking to people. And then I went to the lady at the hotel and I grabbed my phone and I said, I had a question. And I spoke and immediately in real time, it's translating, and it said, you wanted to mimic your voice. And I'm like, what the heck?
Wow.
Now, what you just said is impressive because AI is getting so intense. So I'm thinking, man, if I do a podcast later on, even I think YouTube has captions, right?
Yep.
They're getting better every single time. I remember 2-3 years ago, I hated putting captions on live. Now I do live captions in the Sidebar podcast I have Saturday. I'm so impressed, bro. Live captions, live on a live podcast. Can you imagine if it's going to get better? That you do a video and there's going to be on YouTube. Yeah, they're going to translate it in Spanish. Not the captions only, but the voice.
Next level, the video. Like they'll use your persona, speaking live. They will change your lips as you're speaking to translate it.
Have you done
into Spanish?
Captions, Captions, the app. You've seen Captions? They're doing the translation already without your voice. But I did this for a client, just joking around because you're always experimenting with new technology. Oh my goodness. They got her inflection of how she talks.
What?
And her tone and everything. I'll show you after the.
That's crazy.
But you're right. I think later on what you're doing mind blown right now that everything's going to be translated in real time. Any video that you do, there's going to be another.
A lot of opportunity there.
A lot.
Yeah.
That is so impressive. Dang. Yeah, that captions a video caught me because she speaks better English than Spanish. So I'm like, So I told captions, translate the text, the captions, and I'm like, translate voice too. And it translated her voice.
And you can go in there and edit it as well. And
completely.
Oh, man.
That is impressive.
So in her voice.
Wow. Have you ever used, I think it's captions too. I can't remember. But you can do a video and they just change your face completely and they change your face.
I've played with it.
Yeah.
It is. I think it was in captions as well.
It's in captions?
It's like an AI persona.
Yes.
That can be with different backdrops.
It's a real person.
Oh, yeah. I did play with that. Yeah.
But it's impressive because
it's crazy.
It's in a year. That technology got so good in a year. I can imagine in 6 months. Because they say what's the jump in technology? It jumps 6 times in the sense of what can be done today that took 10 years. And next time it's going to take 2 years to do. So it's always getting faster because that same technology is helping that technology get better. So, man, I tell my friends all the time, like, I don't know if I'm too old when they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I don't know if I'm there. Because do you get that? Do you get that, man, that you're like, oh, man, something else to learn? Do you get that?
Sometimes. I feel like when I do get that, it's an opportunity. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And there's a part of me where I get excited about it as a marketer. I'm like, oh, there's something new. Yeah. Let's figure it out. Let's unpack it. Let's, as a team, you try this. I'm going to try this. Let's experiment with it. I'm still excited enough to learn those new things for that reason. Yeah. But I feel like ultimately, if I'm a business owner and I'm not a marketer and I don't enjoy that.
That is so true.
What am I going to do
You got
now?
to check yourself.
Yeah.
You've heard of generative expansion, right? The and the graphic. Have you tried it on video?
I've not.
Bro.
Yeah?
Bro, I'm like, I got to do myself a favor and not think about how to, because I'm a guy that, like, I see something, I'm like, oh, because I love architecture. I go to different places and I'm like, blown away. Look at this building. How did they do it? Why did they put this space here? Not a lack of, anyway, I'm always looking at how do they do this? Like when I see pieces of equipment, right? But then I saw generative expansion on video. There was 2 people walking that I recorded. And I'm like, oh man, because I was recording at this place, and there was 2 people holding hands, walking, and I recorded the. Well, I'm gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it because it's weird. I was at a funeral, my uncle's funeral, and my dad's name Amado, my son's name Amado, And this is where I think it's the difficult part of this. So my dad, Amado, walking with my son, Amado. And we're at the funeral, and my son holds my dad's hand, and they start walking. I posted on Instagram just that part. It's a 7-second video, my dad walking with my son. I loved it. I looked at it, I'm like, oh, recorded it. So I'm there in the software, and I put it in there, and I'm like, oh, man, I wish I could have gotten more. Exactly. You see how you felt? You see that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. In your mind right now, did you feel good about it or bad?
I felt great.
I didn't.
Yeah. Really?
Because it's my dad and my son, and I didn't want it to be fake.
Oh, okay. I see that.
I see that. I can see it from the technological, oh, this is good. But then I did it for myself and my son and my dad, and it added 3 more seconds of them walking, and it looked so real, but it's fake.
I could see that.
My mind went into, okay, good or bad, I don't know. How much are we surrendering emotions? I grabbed it and I deleted it because I'm like, no, I can't step into this. It's weird.
I can see that because very, very first person emotions involved there.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, what might be crazier is, loss of a loved one and capturing and creating and
have you seen
seeing
that app?
where that goes.
Have you seen that app that it makes you put a picture of a person you loved and then you put yours and then they hug?
Wow.
Exactly. Now it's a different tone now because we talked about it. But I saw that. I'm like, yay for technology, but no for technology.
Yeah.
It's like, weird, right?
It's interesting to see where we're headed with that.
Completely. Yeah. There's this video of this lady, which my wife doesn't like me to share it. I hope she doesn't watch this, but there's this lady lost her daughter, and they put all her pictures on AI, and all her video on AI, and all the video in AI. The lady's daughter, I think she was 6 years old when she passed away, something like that. And then they put all the information in there, and then I think something happened to that. They put AI glasses on her, so she'll be immersed, and it had passed. I think it was 3 years that had passed. So the AI generated the little girl. Like, Mom, I haven't seen you.
Oh my gosh!
Exactly right. Yay for technology, but no.
Wow.
Yes, but I talk about that because the tools at your disposal now. That's why even more so, Matt, the conversation of purposeful. How purposeful are you being? Because I'll tell you this, there's going to be a lot of gimmicks out there. There's a lot of gimmicks out there. There's a lot of stuff. And sometimes I had to check myself because I see an advancement in how to edit and an effect, the transition and a graphic and numbers and remove the background and do this. I get excited from a technological point of view. I'm like, yes, oh, this is amazing. And I fell for it several times. I'm like, oh, man, I did this edit, stuff like that. Then I'm watching a video and I'm like, oh, the effects and graphics, it's up here. What's the purpose of it? Not that it looks exciting. And I think that's going to be the difficult part of evaluating what we do. How much is it the effects, the graphics, and all this stuff, and and mostly for business. Now, brand, people, person, I understand. Be fun, exciting, but for companies, there's going to be a point where hire a videographer, but hire a videographer that is in tune to your needs and your wants. Because if not, be careful when you hire somebody. And this is not, talking about anybody, but some videographers I see. A friend of mine, we had a difficult, beautiful, hard conversation the other day. I'm like, bro, you're doing the same thing everybody's doing. Be careful. Because I tell them, I get excited too with effects and the design. I get excited, believe me. But now I challenge myself to use less effects. This is a personal one. But I can do the effects. I can do all of that stuff. I like that. I've learned it, loved it. But now I'm like, no, I'm going to challenge myself to record better video. I'm going to challenge myself to record better transitions, better in camera, better angles, better movement, capture the person better. Because if not, I'm going to start compensating with effects. And I don't want to be that videographer. I don't want my company to be that we have the best cameras, we have the best graphics. I want to say we have the best intention with your product and your company, and I think that's a conversation that's going to continue. And
one's more natural.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because I don't know. It's I love technology, bro, but there's some points where you're like, oh my goodness, we're becoming lazier, or you know that point that it's going to be easier to let technology do it. I don't know.
Less human.
Yeah, less human.
In a way.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
I always go back to. I have like what 10 cameras. I have lights. I have a lot of things. But I remember I was doing a radio program here in San Antonio, and I had a friend of mine. His daughter's autistic, very quiet, very timid. She doesn't show expression. So after the program, I'm over here on the corner talking to my friend, and we're just talking. He brought his daughter one day because he's brought her in before, and she's just there, always quiet, doesn't make a sound. She's just But we were standing there, and I've taken pictures of him, his organization, and things like that. But we're standing on the edge, and then I turn around. The little girl grabbed the microphone, grabbed the headphones. She put it on her head and grabbed the microphone like she's talking on the microphone. Bro, I took out my cell phone. Back then, it was horrible, right? Took out my cell phone, turned around, took a picture of the little girl. And I'll tell you this. Of all the pictures I've taken him with my professional cameras, she loves the one I took with the phone. Yep. Because that moment was so more valuable to his heart, to his mind, than anything that this creative producer could have captured. Because that moment was very important. And he printed that picture and he's got it in his house. But it's very interesting how I love technology. I love what we do. That's why I love to be personal with people. I love to be, hey, let's sit down. What do you want? What are your needs? I want to get to your heart. I want to get to your mind because I don't want this, man, that's not what I want. Poor 72-year-old lady. I use her too much. But anyway, it's interesting.
I have in my mind, there's a specific person. I have a whole persona built for this person.
You have your parents with you? You have your parents still alive? Yep. Do you see him get on Facebook? That still blows my mind. My dad is a beautiful creature, but he's older. So the older we get, the more stubborn we. He texts me and he's asking me to do something on Facebook for him that the technology is not ready to do. He asked me some questions. You think you can post this in this and tag that person? I want it like that. We're not there. Or Zuckerberg's not thinking like that. But it's an interesting, how the times are changing, how different we are, and how we approach the technologies. And that's the thing. Everybody at every age group attacks the technology different. Their perspective of the technology is different.
Yeah.
Their approach. And now a business. So a business, sometimes they come to you and they're like, I just want to do this. Yeah, but you're doing it from a personal, and they don't get it. That's why they need somebody like you.
Especially small business. They're notorious. Or worse, corporations with too many decision makers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say something that I tell to people, and maybe you can just show me that I've said it wrong. But I tell people all the time, okay, you have your own personal brand on Facebook. Let's use Facebook. And you got a lot of people that interact. You put a picture and but then you say, you know what, Saulo's Coffee. I'm going to do a Facebook page of Saulo's Coffee. I tell people all the time, it's not going to be the same. The interaction and the feel and the tone and the going back and forth with your friends, it's not going to be the same because I've liked Michael Bublé's page and I don't go back to it anymore ever. He's an amazing guy. He's huge or whatever. But I don't go back to his page as much as I go to Freddie's page, my friend. So the approach is different. The approach to seeing Freddie's page and Michael Bublé's page is completely different. Yep. To get into my house and my thread, Michael Bublé has to do something to get into my threads, into my thread, whatever, timeline. So I think a lot of companies don't understand that it's a different game. Your company, it's a different way of using social media.
And that's why you have to sometimes have an outside perspective.
Yes.
Who has systems thinking. They can look at the context of what's working, what differentiates, and what's going to be best for that brand, that persona, for sure.
And I love talking to you because you give me an SEO perspective, but frustration. Let's talk about. We should have you know what we should do, Matt? We should do like a creatives, marketing people, and just share on frustrations, like those bad moments of. So, I do a video for this particular company, and it's San Antonio. Man, I'm gonna get a lot of people mad with me because I'm sharing these stories. But I make a video for this particular company, and I do the video for the company, and mind you, this happened several times. That I send it to them because every content you do for a company. It's marketing, it's strategy. It's not posted like you post yesterday. You went to McDonald's, right? So I send the video and this happened several times. I send the video to the person just to check it. that I didn't get anything wrong? Or is there not a bad angle of a lady or somebody poking their nose or they didn't want somebody's butt or fatness to, because you got to check it. All right, so I send it to them and they love it. Okay, cool. They love it. You know what they do? They post it on their personal and then they share it on a text thread to everybody and everybody shares it separately. And they put it on a thread. And I'm over here. No, post it from one place, tag everybody, and let them share. Because that's how you get out there. But they posted it like 8 times. Different people.
Yeah.
And I'm in my house like, Jesus, help me, Lord, I'm falling, I can't get up. I had that moment. I'm like, but then, and that's where, okay, so now, bad. The bad part of me is that it didn't matter. I didn't matter at that moment. It was about their excitement about the video and what they wanted. But then I had to, now I have to detach and say, that's what they wanted. It's cool.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking it from marketing. How can I get more views? Put it on one place. Let everybody tag and share and stuff.
If everybody's shagging, that's
that's a badass video. But I had that moment, and it happens to me a lot because I want to please the client in regards to the video. And it's true, but sometimes my mind goes into, man, this could have been amazing for a marketing strategy. But
if only.
If only, exactly. But then that's not I had several moments like that. They grab the video and they put, and then they share it in a thread and everybody shares it differently. They all have different audiences. I'm like, no, the purpose is to bring everybody here. But anyway, one day we'll have that podcast of just sharing.
We're definitely going to do it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
We could do a whole thing on it.
Yeah.
From different angles in marketing.
Yeah. Marketing PTSD maybe. Something.
So it's a totally new podcast.
New podcast. Because wow. Yeah. Bro. Okay. Another one. Maybe this is going to be therapy for me. But there's this video I did for this guy, right? And my camera records in 8K. FYI. Records in 8K. Record a video. Stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm editing and I got excited. I stopped at a Starbucks in Houston and I edited. I'm like, oh, I'm excited. I put an effect. And then I sent it to this person, right? I sent it in a Dropbox so I wouldn't lose resolution because I don't know the settings on your phone. Totally different conversation. So I sent it to Dropbox. The guy downloads it, sends it to a Telegram group text. The person in the group text sends it through a WhatsApp, and I don't know their settings, right? And the guy just put the guy in the Telegram, WhatsApp, puts the logo of the lady, or puts the logo on top of it, and then sends it back to the person, the first person, right? And then the guy's all excited because his logo's on it, and a lady, I don't know who posted it, but they posted it on Instagram. So I'm at the house all excited because I was excited, and then I see the video.
The outcome.
It was like on 480.
Yeah.
It was like 480.
At that point.
I'm like, what did you do with my piece of art? Right? Bro, but yes. We have to do that podcast, Marketing PTSD.
Marketing PTSD. I like that.
And I'm there at the house, and this is what happens. I'm going to a visual. I'm there at the house, watch like this in bed, and I see the video, and I'm like, what? What did you do? Like what? And
just flipping out.
And that's got to be just me and God.
But that's the passion for what you do.
Yeah.
That's what that is. Because you do see your work of art and what has happened to it at that point.
Exactly. Bro, it was 480. It was it was like blurry.
And they loved it.
And they loved it. And that's the purpose. Right?
Yeah.
But I love it. I really do. But that tension, I'm like, oh man. And that's why I say creatives are difficult and weird. It's another podcast because we work from a different tone, a different place, a different feeling. And then you're working with a company that's got their own image, idea, and flavor in mind. And the trick of saying, like you said, one of your questions, how do you do it? Let's have a conversation to see where we're at.
Yeah.
Just to get on the same playing field because it's so abstract and so subjective that you can miss it. That's why you need to hire to your weakness. Hire a videographer, a designer, a SEO company, a web that really hears you out, because nobody wants to be nominal average like everybody else. And this is what I tell my friends. I'm like, these small businesses, and you've experienced this, small businesses love what they've built. It's personal. It's in their heart. It's in their mind. I can't come in like a videographer tell them, well, this is what we're going to do. No, I'm sorry. They built it. They're going to take care of it. Like you take care of your art, your camera, your light, all of that stuff. they love their company too. So listen to them. Listen to what they want, what they need. Make them feel loved by you because you're the guy that's opening the door for them, putting light on them. So I think that the initial conversation on where to go is very important. So you can be even more so intentional.
So important. I know we're about at the end.
Oh, wow. Dang, that was fast.
But I wanted to open it up. Any last thing that you want to touch on from videography, marketing, purpose-driven content as we close out?
No, it's just that the world's going to change. It's going to get better. Technology is going to get better. And I am always telling myself, how can I fine-tune my intentionality in what I do and everything that I do, from my family to church to God and my industry or my work. Like, I'm always recording a video and I'm always like, am I excited for how I'm doing it, or am I excited for the purpose that I'm doing it? You know, because sometimes I get, like I told you, I get excited about everything else except the purpose that I'm there, and it happens in your life. You get excited for everything, not for what the purpose you're here for, So in regards to the industry, we got to be even more so intentional because there's a lot of noise out there, lot of new stuff, but we got to, fine tune our intention.
Absolutely. Saulo Rodriguez, thank you so much,
sir.
Appreciate it.
Amazing.
And for y'all out there, if you haven't already subscribed to the While Supplies Last podcast, the marketing podcast, and if you haven't, be sure and like and share to someone this is relevant to. If you're in the San Antonio area and you're in marketing, or you have a perspective on marketing that is unique, we'd love to hear from you. Hit us up on the DMs. Thanks so much.
That was fun.
Yeah, man.
That was fun. Wow. Dang, made me think. Bro, that podcast SEO thing, I'm